In Konoha the opening game plays as Jikuni Yuanichi Chapter 526-550. Chapter 526. At this time, Ginyu looked at Seiki Kusuo with some fear. Seiki Kusuo just let go of his hand. I don't want to kill you now, I just want to tell you about a person you are interested in. Ginyu was stunned. He looked at Seiki Kusuo in astonishment. He thought Seiki Kusuo's brain was broken. If Seiki Kusuo really deliberately delayed time, then after a while, when the secret method is over, Ginyu can do whatever he wants to Seiki Kusuo. Ginyu simply stood aside. Okay, I also want to know who can interest me. Seiki Kusuo laughed. This person is easy to say. His name is Frieza. I think you must know this name. After all, he is your king. Ginyu was stunned. He knew very well how terrible Frieza's power was. Frieza could probably kill him with just one finger. But Seiki Kusuo was so calm when he mentioned Frieza. Does that mean he was a person of the same level as his own king? If Seiki Kusuo was such a person, then he wouldn't need much strength to deal with him. Even if he wanted to let him escape, he wouldn't be able to get away. At this time, Seiki Kusuo whispered, Frieza is a fighting genius. He hasn't really practiced yet. He's so powerful without practicing. It's really shocking. Ginyu on the side was stunned. He knew that his king had never practiced, but what could he do? No one was the king's opponent. The king didn't need to practice at all. At this time, Ginyu suddenly found something wrong. He found that when talking to him, Seiki Nanshong's momentum almost returned to its previous state. When he first talked to him, Seiki Nanshong's face was still a little pale, but now Seiki Nanshong's face seemed to be almost back to normal. Ginyu's face suddenly became extremely ugly, and his strength burst out instantly. Okay, you lied to me, you just want to delay time. Ginyu was extremely regretful. It seemed that Seiki Kusuo had already used up all his strength when he caught him in the end. However, he was too timid and did not dare to launch an attack at that time, which gave this man such a long breathing time. Thinking of this, Ginyu's face was full of mocking smiles. Unfortunately, you really calculated me. If your strength was stronger, I would really die in your hands. But now I have figured it out. The reason why you didn't kill me just now was not because you didn't want to kill me, but because you couldn't do it. Ginyu's power completely exploded. As long as I hold on for a while, you will lose all your strength. All your tricks have been seen through by me, Seiki Kusuo, you are dead this time. Ginyu roared loudly, and Seiki Kusuo's momentum exploded again. This time his strength directly became 10 times that of before. Seiki Kusuo laughed, you think too much. I have been playing tricks on you. You think you can leave now. If you leave, you will definitely die. Thinking of the cat and mouse game before, Ginyu's face became more embarrassed, and he rushed towards Seiki Kusuo. Die. Chapter 527. Seiki Kusuo laughed hungrily. Ginyu always thought he was deceiving him, but there was one thing Seiki Kusuo did not lie about, that is, Seiki Kusuo now has the ability to kill Ginyu. The power of Seiki Kusuo's body was gathering, and Seiki Kusuo just looked at Ginyu with a cold face, and Ginyu just laughed, are you ready? Now you are dead. Ginyu has not used all his strength. He wants to delay, and he knows that Seiki Kusuo has no way to deal with him. But Seiki Kusuo suddenly sneered. His fist hit Ginyu's chest, and Ginyu spit out a mouthful of blood. How is it possible? How can your power suddenly become so strong? Ginyu couldn't believe it. Now Seiki Kusuo's strength was a point greater than before. Seiki Kusuo laughed. I told you, but you didn't believe it. Now you're dead. Seiki Kusuo punched out again. Ginyu's face changed, but Ginyu still didn't dodge the punch. Seiki Kusuo's punch directly made a big hole in Ginyu's chest. Haha. Do you regret it now? Seiki Kusuo said calmly. Now Ginyu having lost the power to resist, Seiki Kusuo also put away his secret method. Using the secret method still caused some damage to Seiki Kusuo's body, and now Seiki Kusuo's face was a little pale. But compared with Ginyu, he was much better. Now Ginyu would probably die if he moved a few more steps. He dared not move at all. Ginyu's lips were open. I know I was wrong. I have something to say about our king. Ginyu said very sincerely. If you just look at his expression, you might think he has really turned from evil to good. After all, When a bird is about to die, its cry is sad, and when a person is about to die, his words are kind. But Seiki Kusuo doesn't think so. Seiki Kusuo knows that this Ginyu still has a final trick. Seiki Kusuo walked in front of Ginyu with his hands behind his back. What else do you want to say? Just then, a smile suddenly appeared on Ginyu's face. I want to say, die, you idiot. Ginyu shouted loudly, exchange bodies. 0 Please give me flowers. This is Ginyu's superpower. Normally, Ginyu would never use it, but now it is a critical moment, and Ginyu can only use this trick. But what surprised him was that Seiki Kusuo was not surprised at all. He just took out the things in his hand. Why would he hide something in his hand? What did he hide? 0. This was Ginyu's idea, but soon Ginyu was stunned. He shouted, no, don't. Because he saw what was hidden in Seiki Kusuo's hand. It was a frog. Seiki Kusuo knew his superpowers a long time ago. He had been preparing, and now, Ginyu has turned into a frog. The frog was caught in the hand of Seiki Kusuo. It's really strange to see your own body damaged. Your superpowers are quite interesting. Seiki Kusuo said calmly, and Ginyu just croaked loudly, and then stopped making any sound. He probably knew that his body would never come back. Seiki Kusuo laughed. Killing a frog seems a bit embarrassing. Gong. Chapter 528. In the end, all the other members of the Ginyu team were completely killed by Sun Wukong and others, but Ginyu was not dead yet. Hitaki Kusuo carried Ginyu. At this time, Ginyu's soul had been transferred to the body of the frog. Hitaki Kusuo held up his palm and showed the frog. He looked at everyone and said to everyone, Ginyu is here. Although his body is destroyed, his soul has been transferred to the body of the frog. Look, everyone, has 007 decided whether to keep Ginyu. After all, he has no attack power now. Hearing this, everyone looked at the frog in Hitaki Kusuo's palm. Although Ginyu was very dangerous when he was alive. But now, he has become like this and has no attack power. Everyone is very hesitant. On the one hand, they cannot forgive Ginyu's past behavior. On the other hand, they feel that since he has no attack power, there is no need to kill him. Hitaki Kusuo's sight swept around and finally stopped on Raditz. He looked at Raditz and asked, Raditz, what do you think? Do you want to keep Ginyu? Seeing that Hitaki Kusuo asked him specifically, Raditz was startled. He raised his eyebrows, thought about it, and then answered Hitaki Kusuo. I think, since Ginyu has no attack power, there is no need to kill him. He is in this state now, anyone can kill him. Just lock him up and don't do evil for the rest of his life. Seeing that Raditz thought so, Hitaki Kusuo didn't say anything. He just looked at everyone and asked, What do you think? Everyone heard it and whispered, and then someone took the lead and said, Then let's keep Ginyu. He can't hurt us anyway. As Raditz said, lock him up and don't let him do evil for the rest of his life. Seeing that everyone had made this decision, Kusuo Hitaki followed the public opinion. He agreed. Okay, then lock Ginyu up and don't let him out for the rest of his life. Everyone agreed to this decision. Next, Kusuo Hitaki handed Ginyu over to someone else to deal with the issue of imprisonment. He was just a frog now, so even if he was imprisoned, the place where he was imprisoned wouldn't take up much space. He couldn't eat much. So it was very convenient. After this matter was dealt with, everyone dispersed. Kusuo Hitaki looked over and saw Raditz walking away. He seemed a little depressed. 0. Suo Hitaki thought about it when he saw this. After a moment of silence, Kusuo Hitaki followed him. When he got close, Kusuo Hitaki called out to Raditz. Raditz. Hearing this, Raditz stopped, turned around, looked at Kusuo Hitaki, and saw it was him. Raditz was a little confused, and asked in confusion. Is there something wrong? Kusuo Hitaki came to his side, he looked at Raditz like this, and answered. Isn't it me who is in trouble? Is it you who is in trouble? Why do you look so depressed? Raditz saw him say this, and retracted his gaze sullenly. Raditz was not in a good mood. He continued to walk forward and answered in a muffled voice. I think my own strength is still not strong enough. I want to continue to work hard to become stronger. Kusuo Hitaki Shang followed. Hitaki Kusuo was surprised to hear Raditz say this, and he asked with a smile. Just for this? Raditz nodded sullenly. Yeah. Seeing that Hitaki Kusuo didn't seem to care, Raditz reacted and felt a little unhappy. Isn't this serious enough? This is already a very important matter. Chapter 529. Seeing Raditz getting angry with him, Hitaki Kusuo smiled and answered. Raditz, don't be anxious. Hitaki Kusuo said calmly, walking forward with Raditz and chatting with him. If you want to become stronger, it's not impossible. It just so happens that I have the idea of training Son Goku recently. Why don't you join this training? I hope this training can make you stronger. This training is aimed at awakening Son Goku to Super Saiyan. Maybe you can also awaken. After hearing this, Raditz looked at Hitaki Kusuo in surprise. He stopped in his tracks. Looking at Kusuo Hitaki, Raditz asked in surprise. Really? Suo Hitaki smiled and nodded. Oh 6. Really, if you don't believe it, you can try it. Anyway, you don't have anything to do. Instead of being idle, you might as well join the training. Raditz also thought it made sense. He nodded. Well, okay, then I'll join the training. Raditz looked ahead, as if he saw hope. He was very depressed just now, but now, his mood seems to have improved again. It's really a repetitive feeling. And this change happened within a few seconds, very short. People's emotions really change too fast. Next, Raditz joined Kusuo Hitaki's training. He trained with Son Goku every day. This training was hard. Even Raditz, who could endure hardships, felt the pain after a few days. It was very hard, and I'm not just saying it casually. The body endured the high-intensity training. Once lying down, it was really tired to the point of falling apart. Every day, except for finishing the training, I just wanted to lie down and didn't want to do anything else. The same situation happened to Son Goku. Both of them were very tired. The most important thing was that after such a high-intensity training, they were told by Hitaki Kusuo that the final result of the training was a failure. The two did not awaken the Super Saiyan. Hearing this result, Raditz was very disappointed. Although he was not the only one, Son Goku also failed to awaken, but Raditz put all his energy and efforts in this training. In the end, he got such a result, which Raditz could not accept. He was very depressed. Hitaki Kusuo also saw it. Seeing this, he came to comfort Raditz. Hitaki Kusuo came close and said to him, "Don't be depressed. This matter is not that serious. Failure in awakening does not mean that your whole life has failed. Failure once does not mean that you will fail every time. There will be more beautiful things in the future. Be confident." Raditz did not want to talk. He knew that what Kusuo Hitaki said were just words of comfort, and in fact, they did not play any real role. What he wanted was not a few useless words of comfort. What Raditz wanted was real and useful practical actions that could be put to use. If Kusuo Hitaki told him at this time that there were other ways to awaken, Raditz thought that he would instantly change from this depressed state to excitement and excitement. It seems that negative emotions can only be digested slowly by oneself. Raditz was about to reach the state several times because of the destruction of planet Vegeta. However, he was always one step away. He thought that the reason for his failure was probably related to this. Frieza also received the news that the Ginyu squadron was completely wiped out. For this, Frieza felt very sad. He lost another team and Ginyu. Chapter 530. After losing Ginyu, Frieza was unwilling to accept it. He decided to go out personally and lead the team to attack Namek. After Frieza landed, he began to attack everywhere. He wanted to destroy everything here. Hitaki Kusuo soon got the news and summoned Raditz, Son Goku and others. When they arrived, Hitaki Kusuo looked at everyone. He said with a heavy heart, "I have bad news for you all." Looking at Hitaki Kusuo like this, Raditz felt very heavy. Although he didn't know what was going on, Hitaki Kusuo's expression usually proved that the matter was very serious. Hitaki Kusuo said, "Frieza is leading the team personally. He is coming to attack our Namek planet, so we must stop him." Everyone was shocked when they heard it. Raditz was also shocked, but he immediately thought of Ginyu. It must be the destruction of the Ginyu squadron that stimulated Frieza, so that he led the team personally and did such an impulsive thing. Hitaki Kusuo said. This time, we can't underestimate it, because it is Frieza who leads the team personally. He is a meticulous person and not easy to deal with. It can be said that we think we are very smart, and Frieza also belongs to this kind of people, so we have encountered a strong opponent Diaresis. Raditz can see that Hitaki Kusuo attaches great importance to this battle. Being able to get such attention from Hitaki Kusuo, Raditz thought that this Frieza must be difficult to deal with. Raditz didn't say anything, he just kept thinking about it. At this time, Hitaki Kusuo kept his eyes on Raditz. He looked at Raditz and asked. Raditz, what do you think? Seeing that he took the initiative to name himself, Raditz answered. Since Frieza is here, no matter how strong or smart he is, we can't let him destroy our territory, so there is no way, we can only do it. Seeing Raditz thinking this, Hitaki Kusuo nodded. He looked at Son Goku again and asked for his opinion. Son Goku, what about yours? Son Goku said unconvinced. Frieza came here in person, it must be for the matter of the Ginyu squad. We haven't settled accounts with them yet, and now they seem to be more angry than us. This is not good, we must let them have a taste, our Namek planet is sacred and cannot be violated. Hearing this, Hitaki Kusuo also felt that what he said made sense. He nodded and said to everyone. I think what Raditz and Son Goku said makes a lot of sense. It's time to teach Frieza a lesson. Otherwise, he really thinks that our planet Namek is so easy to invade. We must not let them have this impression. Everyone listened and shouted slogans in unison. Down with Frieza and give us peace on our planet. Seeing everyone's excitement, Kusuo Hitaki was very satisfied. First of all, morale was already there, so he didn't have to worry about it. Kusuo Hitaki said to everyone. Okay, now everyone go to Dajao to prepare, we will gather and set off immediately to meet Frieza. Then, everyone dispersed. Everyone went back to prepare, and then gathered again to go to the place where Frieza landed. On the way there, Raditz was in a heavy mood. Unexpectedly, they had just experienced a war, and so soon, another war came. It really felt like the wars were continuous and there would be no end. Raditz just felt a little tired. Chapter 531. The battle was fierce. Hitaki Kusuo had brought Raditz and the others to fight, and the two sides were caught in a big battle. To be honest, if you look from a distance, you can see the whole battle clearly, but if you are caught in it, you will lose yourself. This battle made those innocent people run for their lives. Krillin was separated from Hitaki Kusuo and the others in the crowd. He walked in the melee battlefield and watched the fighting all around. Krillin really hated this feeling. He couldn't tell who was with whom. Although some of them were from Frieza's side, Krillin had never seen these people before, and this was the first time he met them. As soon as they met, they became enemies, just because the two sides had different positions. This feeling was really helpless, because, if they give up their positions, there is actually no hatred between the two sides. Therefore, Krillin hates this kind of meaningless war, which only sacrifices so many lives in vain, and in the end, it is not certain that he can get what he wants. Walking through the chaotic crowd. Krillin didn't know where he was, he stumbled and walked, and finally, he bumped into someone behind him, as if he bumped into someone's arms. Krillin was startled, he turned back to look. He didn't know a stranger, he could only retreat, stay away from him, stare at him, but didn't say anything, didn't say sorry. Frieza looked at Krillin, Krillin didn't know him. However, Frieza knew that Krillin was on the side of Kusuo Hitaki, and he asked Krillin for information. Hey, kid, do you know where the Dragon Ball is? Seeing that Frieza wanted to ask about this, Krillin was puzzled, and he asked subconsciously. Why are you asking this? Frieza answered. You just need to tell me whether you know or not. Seeing this, although Krillin still didn't know who he was, he could already tell that he was an enemy. Krillin replied. I don't know. Frieza didn't believe Krillin's words either. Krillin must be lying. He might know. Seeing this, Frieza gave an order. Come on, arrest him. Upon hearing this, Krillin seemed to suddenly think of something. He opened his eyes wide in shock and screamed. Are you Frieza? Seeing that Krillin recognized his identity, Frieza was calm and didn't mean to deny it. Frieza said. Yes, I am Frieza, what's wrong? Krillin didn't say anything. He looked at Frieza in shock. He felt very heavy, an indescribable feeling. After Krillin reacted, he turned around and ran away without saying a word. However, when Frieza saw that he was about to run, he got anxious. He immediately gave an order. Come, arrest him. Krillin, who was running away, was very frightened when he heard this, because he knew that he could not beat Frieza at all. In addition, Frieza had helpers, while Krillin was alone. It was impossible for him to beat others together. Krillin just wanted to escape. Behind him, the pursuers were chasing him. Krillin was very anxious. He blamed himself even more. Why didn't he look at the road clearly before walking, and actually bumped into Frieza on his own initiative? But now it was too late to regret. Krillin just felt that he was very unlucky. Among so many people, he was the only one who bumped into Frieza. How unlucky he was to encounter such bad luck. Krillin wanted to escape, but there was no way he could escape the pursuit of others. The power of one person is ultimately limited. Chapter 5 Chapter 32. Krillin was caught by Frieza again. The person who caught him brought Krillin back to Frieza. Frieza looked at Krillin. Frieza seemed very angry about Krillin's escape. He grabbed Krillin's hair and forced Krillin to look up. Frieza asked him viciously. Run, run, keep running. Krillin was tortured by Frieza. He didn't say a word. He just felt humiliated, but he endured it. Frieza saw that Krillin didn't resist, and he snorted coldly. Frieza questioned him. Where is the Dragon Ball? Krillin refused to say anything. He didn't say anything and remained silent. Frieza was really angry when he saw him like this. He said to Krillin, who didn't speak at all. Do you think I can't do anything to you if you do this? I have plenty of ways. Krillin listened, but he still didn't say a word. Krillin had made up his mind. He could not reason with Frieza and the others, so he chose to remain silent without saying a word, and let Frieza and his people force him. Frieza let Krillin go, and he ordered at this time. Come on, beat him until he speaks. Frieza stepped back. After hearing this, the followers gathered around. Krillin looked at them, and he was a little scared. At that moment, he was desperate and regretted why he ran around. If he hadn't run around, he wouldn't have met Frieza. If he hadn't met Frieza, he wouldn't have the current scene. So, it was all caused by his running around at the beginning. Frieza regretted it, but now, regret is useless. No one came to save him, and even no one knew what was happening to him now. No one could understand this kind of despair. The followers began. Krillin was beaten up, and even if he was beaten, he would never ask for mercy with the Dragon Ball. Frieza was watching the show from the side. He looked at Krillin in a good mood and said to him. Krillin, as long as you are willing to tell me the whereabouts of the Dragon Ball, I will immediately have people stop. Krillin listened, but he still didn't say anything. At this time, Krillin's idea was very simple. He must not tell the whereabouts of the Dragon Ball even if he died, and he must not let Frieza succeed. Anyway, if Hatake Kusuo and the others didn't come to save him, they would not let him go if he relied on Frieza alone. Since he was going to die anyway, he must not let Frieza get away with it even if he died. Zero, please give flowers. The followers stopped. Because Krillin had fainted. Although he was not really dead, his current situation was close to the state of dying, and he was dying. Frieza watched the followers stop, and he looked at Krillin. Seeing that Krillin was close to death, Frieza did not fight for it. He could ask others about the whereabouts of the Dragon Ball, so Frieza gave the order. 0 inches kill him. After hearing this, the followers did as they were told. Krillin died with a knife. However, the scene of Krillin being killed was seen by Kusuo Hatake and others who came to rescue him. Kusuo Hatake led everyone to rescue Krillin. Then, they saw this scene. Seeing that Frieza killed Krillin, everyone was very angry, and Son Goku was even more angry because he had been training before but failed. This time, because of anger, he directly turned into a Super Saiyan. Looking at the changes in Son Goku, Kusuo Hatake was a little surprised, but he couldn't care so much now. He was more thinking about Krillin. Frieza killed Krillin, which was unforgivable. Work. Chapter 533. Raditz, who was also in the team, was also very angry when he saw this scene. Raditz rushed forward and attacked Frieza. Frieza saw this and quickly fought with Raditz. The two exchanged a few moves. After opening, Frieza couldn't help but take a good look at the person who provoked him. At the beginning, he really didn't recognize him. It was after looking at him a few more times that he vaguely felt that this person looked familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere. 010. Frieza tried to recall, and in an instant, he recognized Raditz. After recognizing him, Frieza was surprised. Is it you? A few seconds after the surprise, he was shocked and depressed. He was surprised because he didn't expect to see Raditz in this place. He was depressed because he had a grudge against Raditz. He already had a lot of enemies here, and adding Raditz would only make the situation worse for him. When Raditz saw that he recognized him, Raditz snorted coldly. Raditz said to him, "I'm glad you still remember me." Looking at Raditz, Frieza smiled disdainfully, and Frieza said, "I'm very proud of destroying your planet." Raditz didn't expect that Frieza not only didn't feel guilty, but was proud. He wasn't so angry just now, but now, he was extremely angry. Raditz looked at Frieza fiercely. Raditz gnashed his teeth with hatred. "Frieza, today, I want you to die here." Frieza smiled disdainfully upon hearing this. He said, "It's not certain who will die here, let's talk about it after you beat me first." Seeing Frieza so confident, Raditz didn't say anything, but he was filled with anger, and Raditz's head was filled with anger. He lost his mind. While staring at Frieza, suddenly, Raditz also changed, and he also turned into a Super Saiyan. After Raditz changed, Hitaki Kusuo looked at this scene and was quite shocked. Unexpectedly, during the training, they all failed one by one, but now, they all succeeded and turned into Super Saiyans. It seems that the power of anger is sometimes quite useful. Frieza was shocked and surprised when he saw Raditz's appearance. He didn't expect that Raditz would become like this, and Son Goku would also become like this. Their forms are the same. Frieza felt bad for a while. He looked at the two with a heavy heart, thinking that this battle was not good for him. For a while, the atmosphere was a bit serious. No one said anything at the scene, all of them had a cold face, and the atmosphere at the scene reached a white-hot point. It seemed that if there was something wrong, there would be a conflict and a fight immediately. Raditz kept staring at Frieza, and Son Goku kept staring at Frieza, and Frieza also stared at the two of them. Everyone stared at each other. The eyes were cold. In those cold eyes, there was too much hatred, and it was a deep hatred. The air was filled with a sense of killing. Everyone felt very depressed. Now, it depends on who will take action first. But you wait for me, and I wait for you, but no one takes action. Just then, Kusuo Hitaki suddenly received a system prompt that there was a new character card. After receiving the system prompt, Kusuo Hitaki was slightly surprised. New character card. Suo Hitaki was very curious, who was the new character card? Chapter 534. Suo Hitaki checked the system and found that it was Frieza's role play. However, you need to fight with Frieza first to unlock the progress bar. It seems that a fight is going to happen, and this battle is inevitable. Seeing this, Kusuo Hitaki stared at Frieza. He knew that many people present wanted to kill Frieza, including Raditz and Son Goku. However, Kusuo Hitaki wanted to do it himself. He spoke, his voice was calm and unquestionable. "Let me do it." When they heard it, everyone looked at him. Raditz looked at Kusuo Hitaki, and Son Goku also looked at Kusuo Hitaki. No one said anything. Kusuo Hitaki ignored everyone, he just stared at Frieza, and Frieza also looked at him. During the stare-to-eye contact, Kusuo Hitaki said, "Frieza, let's have a real fight." When Frieza heard this, he raised his eyebrows. Seeing that Kusuo Hitaki wanted to fight him alone, Frieza thought about whether it would be beneficial to him to do so or not. But in any case, fighting alone is better than fighting in a group. Frieza would rather fight Hitaki Kusuo alone than with all of them, so, in general, it seems that fighting Hitaki Kusuo alone is more advantageous. After thinking it through, Frieza accepted the challenge. He looked at Hitaki Kusuo and spoke. Okay, I'll fight you. Hitaki Kusuo listened, but didn't say anything. He just stared at Frieza closely, with a calm expression on his face. Raditz looked at this scene, but he didn't say anything. He felt quite heavy. Son Goku also looked at this scene, but he didn't say anything either. He felt quite heavy. Both of them didn't know why Hitaki Kusuo did this, and couldn't guess what Hitaki Kusuo was thinking. Hitaki Kusuo didn't care how everyone looked at him. He just stared at Frieza closely. Frieza also stared at him. In this stare-off, suddenly, Kusuo Hitaki used Rasengan to attack Frieza, and seeing this, Frieza also started to fight back. The two started to fight. Watching Kusuo Hitaki fighting, Raditz and Goku were watching from the side. At first, they could still watch the fight calmly. However, after seeing what happened, the two became restless and could not watch any longer. Even if Kusuo Hitaki said so, they would intervene even if it violated their rules. So, Raditz and Goku also joined the fight. Everyone watched them fight, and they could not watch any more, so everyone jumped in and joined the fight. For a while, it was another chaotic fight. Frieza felt very unhappy when he saw so many people fighting against him alone. Frieza used his tail to sweep away everyone's attacks. In an instant, Kusuo Hitaki and others were all swept away by Frieza. Everyone flew out one after another. Everyone was hurt after falling to the ground, and some people were slightly injured. Raditz and Son Goku struggled to get up. After they stood up, they looked at Frieza. Frieza was in a good mood after seeing that he was out of danger after sweeping away everyone. He also looked at Raditz, Son Goku and others. Both sides looked at each other. The two sides just stared at each other coldly, without taking any action, waiting for the other side to take action. As long as the other side made any rash moves, they would also take action. The air was condensing. Chapter 535. While staring at each other, Son Goku and Raditz attacked Frieza together. The two rushed over in an instant. Seeing the two again, Frieza he was not afraid of the enemy, and he fought back. The two sides started fighting again. Hitaki Kusuo watched this scene, and he had already opened the progress bar. However, the attacks of Son Goku and Raditz seemed useless, because Frieza was wearing thick armor. The armor was heavy and thick, which protected Frieza. If Son Goku and Raditz continued to attack like this, they would have been doing useless work. We can't let them continue like this. Hitaki Kusuo thought about it, and then he reminded everyone. Attack his head, the focus is on his head. Except for his head, he is wearing armor all around. It's useless for you to attack there. Everyone understood when they heard what he said. Yes, only attack the most vulnerable part. His most vulnerable part is only his head. Everyone has an attack direction and a target. They also know how to attack. If they all attack the head, they will be right. Frieza heard this. He was a little angry and annoyed, because Kusuo Hitaki exposed his most vulnerable part, this damn Kusuo Hitaki. Frieza wanted to kill Kusuo Hitaki. However, Kusuo Hitaki did not participate in the battle now. He was just watching and commanding from the side. It was still a little difficult to break through the siege and reach Kusuo Hitaki. However, keeping Kusuo Hitaki here would only be disadvantageous to him. Kusuo Hitaki's mind was now very rational and calm. He could see where his vulnerable part was at a glance. Kusuo Hitaki would only be a disaster. Frieza wanted to kill Kusuo Hitaki, but he couldn't kill him. The people around him were all staring at him covetously. Frieza looked at the battle and felt a little upset. What he hated most was facing the siege of others alone. This kind of battle was not good for him at all. Raditz could see that Frieza was a little upset. Seeing this, he couldn't help but laugh at Frieza. HMPH, Frieza, you have come to this day to diaresis. Hearing this, Frieza glanced at Raditz. Looking at Raditz, Frieza did not say anything, but just had a solemn face. It seems that Raditz also saw that the current battle situation was not favorable to him. Frieza also knew that the current battle situation was not favorable to him, so he remained silent and did not say anything. Even if the battle situation was not favorable, he had to deal with it calmly. Frieza did not want to be verbally taken advantage of by Raditz, so he still said to Raditz arrogantly, "Humph, it is not certain who will win or lose." Seeing that Frieza was about to die, but he was still so stubborn, Raditz couldn't help but feel disgusted with him. However, Raditz didn't argue with him about this. Forget it, Frieza is like this. He is the kind of person who won't cry until he sees the coffin. He must put the knife on his neck before he realizes that he is about to die, and only then will he be able to lower his head a little and beg for mercy. Anyway, no matter what the final result is, Frieza is dead this time. As long as he dies, the previous hatred between the two can be wiped out, and Raditz won't hate him so much. Frieza looked at Raditz and didn't say anything. He didn't say anything either. The atmosphere calmed down again, the surroundings were very quiet, and no one spoke up to accuse anyone, but it was precisely this kind of atmosphere that made people uncomfortable. Chapter 536. Looking at Frieza, Piccolo kept staring at him. At this time, he aimed at the opportunity, and now was a good time. If not attacking now, when? So, Piccolo launched an attack immediately. He attacked Frieza from behind, and wanted to succeed in the sneak attack, but he didn't expect to be discovered by Frieza. He used his tail to resist, and then blocked Piccolo's attack. Frieza also took this opportunity to hook Piccolo with his tail and wrap it tightly, so that Piccolo could not move. He struggled hard. But Frieza's tail was wrapped very tightly, and Piccolo couldn't get out at all. Seeing Piccolo was trapped, and Kusuo Hatake could no longer watch. He jumped out and used swordsmanship to attack Frieza. Kusuo Hatake originally wanted to attack Frieza so that he could do defensive actions. In this way, he would not care about other things for defense. He would let Piccolo go. This was Kusuo Hatake's idea, but others might not do what he wanted. Kusuo Hatake didn't expect that Frieza didn't let go of Piccolo at all. He directly wrapped his tail around Piccolo and hooked him over, using Piccolo as a meat shield. This was something Kusuo Hatake didn't expect. So, when he saw Frieza doing this, Kusuo Hatake couldn't react at all, and when he realized it, it was too late. Piccolo was right in front of his sword. In such a short time, even if Kusuo Hatake's brain reacted, his movements could not keep up. So, Kusuo Hatake could only watch helplessly as the sword cut through. He wanted to stop, but it was too late. His body's reaction was not as fast as his brain. With one sword, Kusuo Hatake's sword cut Piccolo's arm off. After the cut, Kusuo Hatake's body reacted. However, it was already over. Even if his body reacted, it was useless. Everything was too late. The sword was immediately stained with blood. The broken arm also fell to the ground, and blood splattered all over the ground. Piccolo's arm was cut off, and he was in pain. He had to dodge to the side immediately, and screamed. Hatake Kusuo looked at this scene, and he felt guilty. I really felt sorry for Piccolo. He just wanted to stab Frieza, but he didn't expect that Frieza would use Piccolo as a human shield. He underestimated Frieza's cruelty. Because he thought that Frieza's first reaction would be to let go of Piccolo and use his tail to block. So, this is also the difference between them and Frieza. What he thought was that Frieza would let go and use his tail to block, but he didn't expect that Frieza would directly use Piccolo as a human shield. This is the difference in thinking between the two parties. Piccolo screamed in pain. He seemed to be really in pain. His facial expression was out of control, a little hideous. On the ground, there was a broken arm. There was blood next to it. This scene is bloody, but it's not bloody either. Anyway, it makes people feel uncomfortable. Frieza was a little confused at first. He had not expected such a situation, so after he realized it, Frieza couldn't help but want to laugh, the rhythm of one's own people hitting one's own people. He hadn't started yet, but they had already hurt each other. Frieza laughed loudly. Ha ha ha. Watching him laughing, Hatake Kusuo was already feeling guilty, and now, he couldn't help but feel a little angry. This Frieza is really too hateful. Although he could understand his laughter, he couldn't accept it. Chapter 537. Watching Frieza laughing, Hatake Kusuo was very angry, and he asked, What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Hearing this, Frieza stopped laughing, and he finally stopped laughing. Frieza looked at Hitaki Kusuo. He said, "One's own people hit one's own people, your style of fighting is really rare for me." Seeing him humiliating himself like this, Hitaki Kusuo was very angry. He didn't care about Frieza either. Kusuo Hitaki looked directly at Piccolo. He asked with concern and an anxious tone. "Piccolo, are you okay?" However, Piccolo couldn't answer. He was in great pain at this time. It was really painful. His arm was broken. The arm was connected to the meridians and nerves. Piccolo just screamed in pain. It was very difficult to not make any sound at all with such a degree of pain. It was very difficult to do it. It was impossible to break an arm and still be like nothing happened. Kusuo Hitaki felt very guilty when he saw Piccolo like this. Anyway, it was he who broke Piccolo's arm. He didn't pay attention, but in that situation, it was difficult for anyone to react. I hope Piccolo can understand me. After seeing Piccolo's situation, Kusuo Hitaki looked at Frieza. Kusuo Hitaki didn't forget that it was this culprit who caused Piccolo to break an arm. Kusuo Hitaki immediately took out his anger on Frieza. It's all him, this hypocrite. If it weren't for him, Piccolo wouldn't have had his arm broken. Thinking this way, Kusuo Hitaki was ready to avenge Piccolo. He looked at Frieza and suddenly shouted fiercely. Frieza! With a shout, Kusuo Hitaki also used a huge fireball technique. It all happened too fast, and Frieza didn't react at all. When he reacted, the huge fireball had already hit Frieza's eyes. The huge fireball hit Frieza's eyes at once. Frieza felt pain. It seemed that his eyes were broken. Frieza covered his eyes and screamed in pain. He struggled on the side. He looked very painful. Kusuo Hitaki was relieved when he saw him like this. Kusuo Hitaki said angrily. You deserve it. Just now he was laughing at others, and now it's his turn. Kusuo Hitaki wanted to deal with Frieza again, but he didn't have time to care about Frieza anymore. Kusuo Hitaki was concerned about Piccolo. Please give me flowers. He immediately walked towards Piccolo and asked. Piccolo, how are you? At the beginning, Piccolo was in real pain, but now, it has slowly eased and Piccolo is no longer in so much pain. Looking at Kusuo Hitaki who came to his side, Piccolo controlled his condition. He was a little calm. Piccolo shook his head to Kusuo Hitaki and gestured. Quote. I'm fine. Seeing Piccolo say this, Kusuo Hitaki didn't believe it at all. How could he be fine with a broken arm? However, Piccolo's recovery ability is extremely strong. He just broke an arm and the wound was still bleeding. At this moment, a new arm slowly grew out of Piccolo's wound. Kusuo Hitaki was surprised when he saw this scene. I didn't expect Piccolo's recovery ability to be so strong. You know, he just broke his arm. It was only a few minutes ago. Kusuo Hitaki watched and couldn't help but praise. Piccolo, you are amazing. After a while, Piccolo's arm had grown out and turned into a new arm, exactly the same as the original one. It was completely impossible to tell that it was a new one. Work. Chapter 538. Frieza's eyes were burned and he was in pain. He rolled in the air, but he couldn't put out the fire. The fire was so fierce that it couldn't be put out by ordinary means. Kusuo Hitaki saw that Piccolo was fine. His attention was focused on Frieza. Looking at what Frieza was doing in the air, Kusuo Hitaki knew what he wanted to do. You want to destroy his great fireball technique like this? It's not that simple. However, it's only a short time now. Kusuo Hitaki doesn't know whether Frieza can be destroyed over time, so he doesn't plan to give Frieza a chance. He must be defeated before he puts out the fire. Otherwise, there will be no next chance. Thinking of this, Kusuo Hitaki looked at Son Goku and Raditz. The two were frightened by Frieza's appearance and looked a little dazed. Seeing them in a daze, Kusuo Hitaki was speechless. He shouted at the two. Hurry up and use the Rasengan to attack him. Why are you still in a daze? If he puts out the fire, he may be in power. Hearing this, Son Goku and Raditz, who were in a daze, reacted quickly. The two nodded immediately. Looking at Frieza, Goku and Raditz began to work together, using the Rasengan together and then attacking Frieza. Frieza was struggling in the air. He had been trying to put out the fire, but he couldn't. It was burning him so much that he was about to be burned to death. Frieza was in a hurry for his own business. He paid less attention to the outside world. When Goku and Raditz's Rasengan attacked, Frieza didn't notice it at all. When he noticed it, it was too late. The attack had already hit him. After Frieza noticed it, he was shocked. He was originally being burned by fire, and now there was an attack from the outside world. He felt that he was in trouble both inside and outside. Frieza dodged. However, when he noticed it, the attack was too close and he couldn't dodge it at all. Frieza couldn't dodge it. He was hit by the Rasengan while dodging. Although he was hit, the damage to Frieza was not great. Originally, Goku and Raditz were expecting this attack. They were very happy to see that Frieza did not dodge but was hit. Hitaki Kusuo was also very happy when he saw this. However, after being happy, the three of them soon became unhappy again. They saw that the power of the Rasengan could not cause any damage to Frieza at all. It was just a little pain. It might make him more injured, but even if it was injured, it would be a small injury. It had no effect at all. Frieza did not pay attention to the newly added minor injuries. His focus was still the fire on his body. If he continued to be burned like this, he would be burned to death. Those minor injuries could not cause any major damage to him at all. Frieza was only anxious to put out the fire. He turned on the high-speed flight state, ready to put out the fire by speed. As long as the speed was fast enough, the flames would be suppressed in an instant. Frieza's actions were also noticed by Goku and Raditz. Seeing this, the two were shocked. He wouldn't really put out the fire this way, would he? Sun Wukong and Raditz didn't know whether they could put out the fire or not, but if they could, they certainly didn't want him to do it. He must be stopped. This was the unanimous voice of the two in their hearts. It was so hard to get this opportunity, they really didn't want Frieza to escape again, they had to put him to death. Only in this way could they avoid future troubles. Chapter 539. After Frieza flew at high speed, he left here in an instant and disappeared. Seeing this, Hitaki Kusuo retracted his sight. Unexpectedly, at this time, the system's prompt sounded suddenly. Warning. Hitaki Kusuo was startled. He looked at the system, and then found that the character progress bar was only 1%. The system also prompted. You must unlock the character within 10 days, otherwise you will be punished and lose a character card. Hitaki Kusuo was really shocked when he heard this. No way. He looked up at the sky. Frieza had already flown to who knows where. If he chased him now, could he still catch up? Even if there was little hope, he had to chase him. Otherwise, the loss would be too great. Hitaki Kusuo looked at Son Goku and Raditz and said anxiously. Hurry up, chase Frieza, don't let him escape. Hearing this, Son Goku and Raditz looked at Hitaki Kusuo. Seeing how anxious he was, they nodded and did it immediately. Hitaki Kusuo was not idle either, he followed. Not all of them chased him, only a few of them. Hitaki Kusuo, Son Goku, and Raditz were among them. In midair, they flew forward desperately. They couldn't find Frieza's figure. They didn't know where he flew to. Just now, he was flying at a high speed, so the speed would be super fast, which was also normal. But they didn't know where he ran to now. No matter how hard they looked, they couldn't find him. This made Kusuo Hitaki very depressed. He must not lose Frieza like this, otherwise, his loss would be great. Just when Kusuo Hitaki wanted to give up. Because he couldn't find Frieza, he flew into the sky without a direction, and no one knew which direction he was flying. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Kusuo Hitaki was lucky to see Frieza. He was in front. It seemed that they were chasing in the right direction. Kusuo Hitaki was very happy when he saw Frieza. As soon as he was happy, he immediately said to Son Goku, Raditz and others in surprise. Look, he's there, go catch up with him, we must intercept him, don't let him run away. Hearing this, Sun Wukong and Raditz looked over. They also saw Frieza. Sure enough, there. After finding him, the two were very happy. Only by finding him, the two had a goal, otherwise, they didn't know what to do. Raditz knew that Kusuo Hatake wanted to catch Frieza. He said to Kusuo Hatake while flying, "Kusuo Hatake, don't worry, we will definitely help you catch him." Hearing Raditz's words, Kusuo Hatake was relieved. He stared at Frieza, fearing that he would escape from his sight again. Finally, after a flight, they finally caught up with Frieza. Kusuo Hatake and his team were ready to capture Frieza. However, when they were about to do so, they were resisted by Frieza, and he fought with Kusuo Hatake and his team. Several people started fighting in the air. Kusuo Hatake had always wanted to catch Frieza, so he was a bit desperate, but he was too involved and forgot about the outside environment. During the battle, Kusuo Hatake and his team hit the mountain. This collision directly caused the mountain to collapse. Because they hit the mountain, they lost their balance and fell directly, and their screams were heard all around. Ah! Because they lost their balance, they were very scared. Chapter 540. After Frieza fell to the ground, he was directly buried by the mountain. Kusuo Hatake and his team were not much better. Although not as exaggerated as Frieza. But they were also buried in the topsoil by the mountain. They had to dig up the soil to find them, because they were all seriously injured. Chi-Chi and Bulma followed later. So, they were not injured, but they followed behind and witnessed Kusuo Hatake and his team being buried by the mountain. So, as soon as Chi-Chi and Bulma arrived, they rushed to save people. They found Kusuo Hatake and others. After rescuing Kusuo Hatake and others to the surface soil, Chi-Chi and Bulma hurried to use medical ninjutsu to heal them. Kusuo Hatake and others were not seriously injured. But if they were not treated, such injuries could be fatal if they were delayed. So, when they were treating them, seeing Kusuo Hatake and others injured like this, Chi-Chi and Bulma felt sad, but they had to force themselves to endure the sadness and treat them. Because here, except for the two of them, no one else could save them. It took a long time to rescue them. Finally, Kusuo Hatake gradually woke up. Seeing that he woke up, Chi-Chi stopped saving him. She looked at Kusuo Hatake and said, "You woke up, diaresis." Hatake Kusuo was still a little weak. He looked at Chi-Chi and nodded gently. He couldn't even speak. However, as he woke up, Hatake Kusuo soon thought of something. He immediately became anxious and asked, "Where is Frieza?" Seeing him asking about Frieza, Chi-Chi looked around and answered, "We didn't find him. Maybe he was buried deeper in the soil. As soon as we found you, we rushed to rescue you first and then heal your wounds." Hearing this, Hatake Kusuo sat up with difficulty. He looked around and said, "No, I have to find Frieza first. I can't let him escape again." Hatake Kusuo said. Regardless of the discomfort in his body, he forced himself to stand up, and then, using Earth Escape, he found Frieza. He created a huge cage and trapped Frieza in it. Although Frieza was also injured. However, he was trapped now, and the sense of crisis made his body full of strength. Frieza was struggling in the cage. He wanted to break through, but he had no way to break out. Hatake Kusuo looked at Frieza like this, and he said to him, "Frieza, you should use less energy. You can't break through this cage. Resting well is the best choice for you. You are injured now." However, Frieza couldn't hear anything at all. Although he was buried by the mountain. It was a blessing in disguise. He also put out the fire, but Frieza would not be very grateful for this. He was now trapped in a cage, which was another disaster. Frieza looked at Kusuo Hatake angrily. "You'd better let me out, otherwise, I want all of you to die miserably." After hearing this, Kusuo Hatake sneered. "Frieza, don't think that I'm keeping your life for some reason. I'm reluctant to kill you. I just think you're still useful to me, otherwise, I would have killed you long ago. Who do you think you are? You've hurt all of us, look at us, one by one, injured or dead." Hatake Kusuo looked at Son Goku, Raditz and the others. Now, after treatment, they have all woken up and can stand up. Fortunately, none of them are in danger of life. Chapter 541. Seeing that Frieza was finally caught and now trapped, he couldn't get out, everyone was very happy. Son Goku said, "Great, he was finally caught. When they came to the earthen cage, Son Goku stopped and looked at Frieza in a good mood. Aside, Raditz was also standing there. He looked at Frieza and couldn't help but smile and said to him, "Frieza, don't you love to escape? You are escaping now." Hearing this, the caged man who couldn't Frieza came out. He answered with a breath. "Don't be too proud, wait until I get out of the cage, I'll make you look good." Seeing him in the cage, he was still so arrogant. Both Sun Wukong and Raditz had to admire this man. His self-confidence was really exaggerated. Maybe until the moment of his death, he thought he would be the one who could turn the tide in the end. Seeing the two of them so relieved, Hitaki Kusuo couldn't help but remind them carefully. "Don't relax, although Frieza is temporarily trapped, it's better not to underestimate others, so as not to get slapped in the face in the end." Seeing Hitaki Kusuo so cautious, Sun Wukong said to him, thinking that he was too cautious and completely unnecessary. "Hitaki Kusuo, you are too nervous, maybe you couldn't catch him just now, which caused this mentality. Now, Frieza is trapped in this earth cage by us, where can he go?" Seeing Sun Wukong so underestimated the enemy, Hitaki Kusuo was speechless. "There is really nothing you can do about them." Kusuo Hitaki looked at Frieza. He looked at the earth cage. It should be strong enough to trap Frieza, right? Kusuo Hitaki thought so. If it can't trap him, he will be speechless. After all, if this earth cage can't trap him, Kusuo Hitaki has no other way to trap him. Frieza listened to Kusuo Hitaki. He looked at Son Goku and Raditz and said, "You'd better listen to Kusuo Hitaki, because I will really come out. When I come out, the first one to deal with is you two." Seeing him say this, Son Goku and Raditz were a little surprised. The two turned their heads and looked at each other. Then, Son Goku looked at Frieza again. He still didn't believe it and said, "Okay, then come out. You are so arrogant. Come out and show us." Looking at Son Goku, Frieza didn't say anything. After a few seconds of silence, he did it directly. Frieza used Qigong waves to attack the cage. Seeing that he was really doing it, Goku and Raditz were shocked, and with Frieza's attack, the cage had already broken. Suddenly, the earth cage exploded. Frieza really rushed out. Seeing this scene, Hitaki Kusuo was quite shocked and shouted anxiously, "Stop him quickly." However, Frieza didn't give Goku and Raditz any chance at all. He directly used finger light waves to attack everyone, and his attack reached a certain degree of madness. Maybe it was out of revenge. After all, everyone had locked him in the cage before, so now that he had finally escaped from the cage, he would naturally not let everyone go. Goku and Raditz hid. Frieza's finger light wave was too powerful. Even if they tried their best to hide, they would still be hit by the finger light wave to varying degrees. They were all injured. At that moment, Kusuo Hitaki was dodging, he was really speechless. These people really didn't cry until they saw the coffin, and they all told them not to say too much at the beginning. Chapter 542. Everyone was injured. At this time, they needed to heal their wounds. However, how to heal in this situation? There was no way to heal the wounds. Now, it was important to catch Frieza together. Only by subduing him could we prevent everyone from getting hurt again. The others were all seriously injured. They had no strength to attack Frieza again. After Kusuo Hitaki examined the situation, it seemed that only he could deal with Frieza now. After Kusuo Hitaki understood, he used Kamehameha. Kusuo Hitaki used Kamehameha to attack Frieza. Unexpectedly, after being dodged by Frieza, he looked at Kusuo Hitaki and saw that he used Kamehameha. Frieza did the same as Kusuo Hitaki without saying a word. He also used Kamehameha. In the end, it was the two Kamehameha Qigongs that were competing. The two forces collided with each other, neither of them gave in. Sometimes one advanced a little, sometimes the other advanced a little. During the confrontation, Hitaki Kusuo said to Frieza with difficulty, "I didn't expect that you could use Kamehameha Qigong." After hearing this, Frieza laughed triumphantly, and he also said it with some difficulty. "Didn't expect it. What I want is your unexpected, Hitaki Kusuo, I have many more skills, don't underestimate me too much." Hitaki Kusuo listened without saying a word. At this time, he was thinking about how to make his Kamehameha Chigung stronger and better than Frieza's. The two of them are now in this state, and they have also compared. The Kamehameha Chigungs of each other are comparable. In this situation, it is the most difficult to determine the winner. Hitaki Kusuo doesn't know how long it will take to determine the winner. If he has to determine the winner, he doesn't want to be the loser. In this way, there was a short stalemate. Frieza said to Kusuo Hitaki. I didn't expect you to be so capable. You can hold on for so long. After hearing this, Kusuo Hitaki replied. Same here, you are also capable. Otherwise, you wouldn't have held on for so long. After hearing this, Frieza sneered. He said. You only know it now. I tell you, I have many skills. In addition to this, I have other skills. Do you want to see them? Kusuo Hitaki listened and said nothing. He was not curious about how many skills Frieza had. What Kusuo Hitaki was thinking about was what he should do to subdue Frieza as soon as possible. 0 Please give me flowers, I can't hold on like this any longer. Hitaki Kusuo already feels a bit exhausted. If he holds on any longer, if Frieza can still hold on, he will definitely lose. Hitaki Kusuo fantasizes that Son Goku, Raditz and the others can help him. But at this moment, Son Goku, Raditz and the others can't come over at all, because the pressure generated by the two forces excludes them. 0. Even Hitaki Kusuo felt a pressure. Just at this moment, when Hitaki Kusuo was about to give up, suddenly, the two forces were grinding against each other. The huge pressure finally made them explode. The two forces suddenly exploded, and then Hitaki Kusuo and Frieza were blown away, and the mountain collapsed again. The scene was a little chaotic in an instant. Son Goku, Raditz and the others were all shocked, but they were blown away before they could react. Because the power of this explosion was too great. The mountain collapsed with a rumble. The whole land was shaking, and people could not stand on the ground at all, as if it was the end of the world. Work. Chapter 543. Although the mountain collapsed, Kusuo Hitaki and others were also blown away, but the injuries were not serious, just a little hurt by the shock. Gohan watched this scene and wanted to help. He ran over and wanted to deal with Frieza. Gohan attacked Frieza, and Frieza was attacked, and he dodged in time. After dodging, Frieza looked at Gohan. Seeing Gohan interfering with him, Frieza would not be polite to him, and he immediately gathered the death beam on 017's finger to attack Gohan. At first glance, Goku and Chi-Chi were extremely shocked. But they were too far away from Gohan at this time, and it was too late to go over to save people, so they could only scream as they watched this scene. Son Gohan. Raditz was nearby, closer to Son Gohan than Son Goku and Chi-Chi. Seeing this scene, Raditz got anxious. He immediately rushed over, hugged Son Gohan, and dodged. Coincidentally, the death beam fired by Frieza also shot over the place where Son Gohan had just stood. If Raditz hadn't held Son Gohan away, Son Gohan might have died. Seeing Raditz carrying Son Gohan away, Frieza was already annoyed by Son Gohan's attack. Frieza wanted to kill Son Gohan and Raditz at the same time. Seeing Raditz dodging, Frieza attacked him. Son Gohan happened to be in his arms. Keeping attacking Raditz, while attacking Raditz, he would also kill Son Gohan, the best of both worlds. With this idea in mind, Frieza continued to attack Raditz. He had given up attacking others and focused all his attention on Raditz. Raditz also realized that Frieza wanted to kill him and Son Gohan. That death beam was very powerful. If he was hit by it, there would be no hope, so he must not be hit by it. Raditz kept dodging, desperately dodging. Because Frieza fired too frequently. Just dodging this took all of Raditz's energy, so he had no time to fight back against Frieza. He could only keep dodging, desperately dodging, and could no longer spare any other energy. Frieza also saw it. He knew that Raditz had no energy to fight back, so he also tried very hard. He tried his best to fire such frequent death beams and chase Raditz. The purpose was to kill him. Watching this scene, Chi-Chi was very frightened. She felt that she could no longer leave Son Gohan in Raditz's arms, and she had to separate the two of them, so that she could divert Frieza's attention. When his attention was all focused on one point, he would be very focused. But if his target becomes two, then he can't concentrate. Chi-Chi shouted to Raditz anxiously. Give me Son Gohan. Hearing this, Raditz also wanted to give him Son Gohan, but Frieza chased him too frequently, and Raditz couldn't stop for a moment. Once he stopped, he or Son Gohan would be hit by the death beam. That thing is terrible. Once hit, you will die, so you must not be touched by it, but carrying Son Gohan with you all the time is not a solution. Raditz thought for a while. Suddenly, while running for his life, he threw Son Gohan out in the direction of Chi-Chi and shouted, "Catch it!" Chi-Chi saw Son Gohan being thrown over. She was very nervous, and immediately made a move to catch it. Frieza was distracted and looked at this scene in a daze. Chapter 544. Chi-Chi received Son Gohan. As soon as she received Son Gohan, she was relieved and rushed to take Son Gohan away. She had to take Son Gohan to a safe place. It was too dangerous here. Frieza was very angry when he saw Son Gohan being transferred away. He continued to launch the death beam, and it was no longer aimed at Raditz, but at everyone. Now, he wanted everyone here to die. Watching him kill people on a large scale, Kusuo Hatake felt that he could not let Frieza go on like this, otherwise, he would bring harm to the people present. Suo Hatake continued to use Earth Escape. He created a huge shield to resist Frieza's attack, so that Frieza 06 taking advantage of this opportunity, Kusuo Hatake shouted to Bulma. Hurry up and save people. Bulma immediately reacted and rushed to save people. Yes, she should save people now. Save people quickly. Heal their wounds first, so that everyone will have the energy to face Frieza. Otherwise, how can they deal with Frieza with their wounds? Bulma rushed to save people. Son Goku, Raditz and others were injured, so Bulma rushed to treat them. While Bulma was treating them, Kusuo Hatake and Frieza did not stop. Frieza looked at the shield created by Kusuo Hatake. His death beams were all blocked. Frieza snorted coldly at this. He sneered that even if the death beam was blocked, Frieza did not stop even though he knew that it had no effect. HMPH, Kusuo Hatake, do you think you can resist me with just your Earth shield? Kusuo Hatake was applying force to the Earth shield. He was struggling. Seeing Frieza say this, Kusuo Hatake persisted with difficulty and answered. I know whether I can resist or not, and you don't need to tell me. Now, he didn't want to listen to anything Frieza said. Many words were confusing. Kusuo Hatake felt that he only needed to look at the actual use. Now, the shield he made was indeed useful. At least, it had temporarily delayed Frieza. Frieza listened to Kusuo Hatake's words and laughed disdainfully. Just now, I broke through your Earth cage. Now, a mere Earth shield can still break through it. It's nothing great. Kusuo Hatake also knew that Frieza could break through his Earth shield. Kusuo Hatake laughed and said indifferently. It's okay. As long as I can hold you back temporarily, it's fine. My goal is so simple. I just need to hold you back temporarily and let Bulma heal their wounds. That's all. Seeing this, Frieza was very unhappy. He looked at Bulma. Bulma had already healed the wounds of many people. The heavy blow he had just given them now seemed to be in vain and was recovered by them. Seeing this, Frieza was a little unhappy. He looked at Hatake Kusuo angrily and said angrily. HMPH. I won't let you succeed, Hatake Kusuo. Today, I want all of you to die here. Hatake Kusuo listened and answered. It's not certain who will die here. Although you are very strong, don't forget that we are a group of people working together, and you are alone. No matter how you look at it, we have a higher chance of winning. Frieza listened and said nothing. But what Hatake Kusuo said was indeed reasonable. Chapter 545. There are many injured people, and Bulma needs to treat many people. The more people there are, the more chakra flashlights she needs to treat. The large-scale treatment has exhausted Bulma's chakra flashlight. The other flashlights are on Chi-Chi. However, Chi-Chi has already escaped with Son Gohan. She is not here now, and it is very troublesome for Bulma to find her. Now, they are in the shield. If they leave the shield, they will be attacked by Frieza, but if they stay here, the flashlight on her body has been exhausted, and she will be useless if she stays here. Bulma secretly glanced at Hitaki Kusuo. Now, Hitaki Kusuo is still concentrating on maintaining the power of the shield and has no time to pay attention to her. In other words, even if she sneaks out, Hitaki Kusuo will not notice it. After learning this, Bulma retracted her gaze. She looked at Frieza again. Frieza still insisted on attacking the shield and trying to break through it. It seemed that his attention would not fall on himself. Seeing this, Bulma wanted to go out. She had to go out, otherwise, these wounded stayed here and she could not help at all, so Bulma went out. She left secretly. When she came to the edge, Bulma looked at the two sides again. They were still fighting with all their strength and had no time to pay attention to her. Bulma retracted her sight and she put out the shield. However, Bulma thought Frieza would not notice her. Unexpectedly, as soon as Bulma put out the shield, Frieza noticed the abnormality here. He looked over at once. Seeing someone coming out, Frieza didn't care who came out or what the purpose of coming out was. Anyway, he had only one principle, that was to attack. Frieza immediately attacked Bulma with his electric eyes. Bulma, who had just come out of the shield, was about to sneak away, but she felt an attack coming. Bulma was startled. She looked immediately and saw Frieza's electric eyes attacking her. Seeing this, Bulma was startled. She was stunned and forgot to react. She just stood there stupidly, watching the electric eyes attacking her. Just when Bulma thought she was about to die. Unexpectedly, Raditz suddenly appeared behind her. Raditz grabbed Bulma and pulled her back suddenly. Bulma returned to the shield. Frieza's electric eyes were also blocked outside the shield. After Raditz rescued Bulma, he was very angry and asked Bulma, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? You want to go out diaresis?" At this time, everyone knew that it was safer to hide in the shield. Hitaki Kusuo was also struggling to support the shield, but she was not grateful and wanted to go out and cause trouble at this time. Bulma was very grateful for Raditz's rescue. After all, without Raditz's rescue, she might have died just now, but she couldn't let Raditz misunderstand her. Bulma told the truth. I went out to get a flashlight. All the flashlights were on Chi-Chi. The flashlights on me were all used up when Dejao treated you. If I didn't take the flashlight, I couldn't do anything. I'm like a useless person now, unable to save more people. Seeing that Bulma had this difficulty, Raditz was no longer angry with her. Rades persuaded her. In short, you can't go out now. Once you go out, you will die immediately. The flashlight is indeed important, but it has to be useful as long as you are alive. Bulma listened and felt that it made sense. Chapter 546. The death beam cannot break the shield. After repeated experiments, Frieza finally realized this. After realizing this, Frieza felt that he could not continue like this. The shield must be broken. Hitaki Kusuo has time to waste time with him, but he does not have time to waste time with Hitaki Kusuo, so Frieza changed his mind. He decided to give up the death beam and use the Nova attack instead. After Frieza switched to the Nova attack. His idea was right. As soon as the Nova attack came out, the shield was shattered. Frieza was very happy to see this. He did not expect that changing the method would break the shield so easily. Because he could not break the death beam. However, Frieza was not happy for long, because he changed his mind and Hitaki Kusuo was not immutable. While he changed, Hitaki Kusuo was also changing at the same time. Kusuo Hitaki had already guessed that Frieza would change his attack method, so he also changed his attack method and was ready. As soon as Frieza broke the shield, Kusuo Hitaki gave a cold order. Attack! Frieza heard a voice, and then he saw Kusuo Hitaki, Son Goku, Raditz and others directly hit the prepared Rasengan. Frieza had never expected it. In such a short time, he could not react at all, so the Rasengan of Kusuo Hitaki and others hit him directly. After Frieza reacted, he hurriedly took precautions. When the Rasengan hit him, Frieza had already made preparations in time, so the Rasengan did not hit him directly, and the two forces collided again. When they collided, the two forces were competing with each other. Frieza felt a little tired. He tried his best to maintain it. Kusuo Hatake also felt a little tired, and he also tried his best to maintain it. No matter what, he had to persist. If he persisted, he would win. Frieza is only one person, but they have several people. Therefore, Kusuo Hatake always felt that he would succeed if he persisted, so he persisted so desperately. As long as he could persist, he would definitely succeed. If he could not persist, he would only fail. There is only this difference between success and failure. Both sides are fighting to the death. Kusuo Hatake has been staring at Frieza, and Frieza has been staring at Kusuo Hatake. He really didn't expect that Kusuo Hatake's persistence would be so long-lasting. A very patient person. If it were someone else, they might have given up long ago. Only Kusuo Hatake has such persistence, but Kusuo Hatake has persistence, and he is not the only one in the world who has persistence. Frieza is also very persistent. In such persistence, it depends on who can persist to the end. Goku and Raditz have been very persistent, but after a long time, they gradually feel a little tired. Frieza, how long is he going to hold on? They feel like they can't hold on any longer. However, even if they can't hold on any longer, Sun Wukong and Frieza can only grit their teeth and hold on. Otherwise, they have no other choice. Keep holding on. Both sides feel exhausted, really exhausted, and no one knows when the other side will give up, so they can only grit their teeth and hold on. In this way, the two sides are fighting each other, fighting all the time. Chapter 547. After holding on for so long, in the end, it was Kusuo Hatake and his team who held on. The power of Kusuo Hatake and his team offset the power of Frieza's Nova Strike, and Frieza was knocked far away. Frieza flew out. He fell to the ground, looking very embarrassed, but he didn't die. Seeing this, Kusuo Hatake wanted to subdue Frieza, but this level alone was not enough, so Kusuo Hatake immediately used his swordsmanship again. He used swordsmanship to attack Frieza's tail. Hatake Kusuo wanted to cut off Frieza's tail, so that he could no longer attack with his tail, which was considered to cause him great damage. Frieza fell to the ground. Seeing Hatake Kusuo's action, Frieza guessed Hatake Kusuo's intention. Seeing this, Frieza was anxious, but at that moment, everything happened very quickly. Both of them were trying to buy time. Hatake Kusuo quickly used swordsmanship, and Frieza saw this. He could not hide at all if he ran away. So, Frieza used teleportation to leave. In this way, Hatake Kusuo hit the air. Seeing the strike missed, Kusuo Hatake frowned. He had never expected that Frieza would react so quickly. He thought that this strike would be able to perfectly achieve what he wanted. Because, he was really fast. He immediately chased after him. As long as Frieza didn't react so quickly, his swordsmanship would definitely hit the opponent, but he also underestimated Frieza's reaction. He reacted quickly, and Frieza was not a pushover either. He also reacted quickly. After Frieza hit aside, he was very proud of himself for successfully avoiding it, but his heart was cold. After all, if he hadn't reacted quickly just now, he might have suffered a heavy blow from Kusuo Hatake. Frieza looked at Kusuo Hatake, almost staring at him. Frieza spoke coldly. How is it? The strike missed, right? Hearing this, Kusuo Hatake didn't say anything. Frieza was like this. Every time he had a little advantage, he would be a little proud. People like him were meant to be hit constantly. Only in this way can he put away his arrogant face. Kusuo Hatake really hates to see his arrogant face. Frieza saw that Kusuo Hatake didn't say anything, so he sneered. Frieza said, "Don't underestimate me. I am also very powerful. Don't think that you are the only one who is powerful. Zero, please give flowers." Seeing this, Kusuo Hatake didn't say anything. He had already understood Frieza's character, and now he was indifferent to anything he said. Frieza said at this time, "You didn't hit me just now, and didn't give me a fatal blow. Next, you have to be careful, because it will be my turn to deal you a fatal blow." Hearing this, Kusuo Hatake immediately became alert. 0. It seems that Frieza is going to fight back. Kusuo Hatake still didn't say anything. He just looked at Frieza silently. It seemed that he had to find a way to subdue Frieza, to subdue him completely. He was a person who would never stop unless he did this. Kusuo Hitaki was very tired of fighting him like this. Even if Frieza was not tired, he would feel tired. Frieza sneered. He started his attack. He used the death beam to attack. Kusuo Hitaki was anxious when he saw this. He immediately warned everyone. Be careful. As he said that, Kusuo Hitaki also dodged. He successfully dodged those death beams, and everyone else also successfully dodged those death beams, but Frieza's attacks were continuous, not one wave after another. Work. Chapter 548. Frieza used the death beam many times in a row, but they were all dodged by Kusuo Hitaki and his men. Kusuo Hitaki and his men were just so lucky. There was no other way. Frieza could only use the death beam net to attack. This is the ultimate death beam. If the death beam can't deal with Kusuo Hitaki, then the death beam net can deal with Kusuo Hitaki, right? However, the only death beam net that Frieza sent out was successfully dodged by Kusuo Hitaki. Seeing that Kusuo Hitaki was so lucky, Frieza was very angry. He really didn't expect that Kusuo Hitaki could even dodge the death beam net. You know, that was the ultimate evolution of the death beam. Frieza wanted to send out the death beam net a second time. After being able to dodge once, Frieza didn't believe that Kusuo Hitaki could dodge it a second time. If he could dodge it the second time, could he dodge it the third time? With more times, there will always be a time when he succeeds. However, when Frieza wanted to use the death beam net for the second time, he used too much Qigong waves, which made him weak. He couldn't send out the death beam net a second time. After realizing this, Frieza had a cold face. He frowned secretly in his heart, feeling very unlucky. He was hit by this at such a critical moment. Hitaki Kusuo also saw that something was wrong with Frieza. He felt that Frieza was very weak now. However, Hitaki Kusuo did not know that Frieza in a weak state did not have the strength to send out a second death beam net. He thought that Frieza could still send it out. Therefore, Hitaki Kusuo did not dare to take it lightly. He stared at Frieza closely and did not take the initiative to attack, because he had to save his energy to deal with the next death beam net. This death beam net is very powerful. But Hitaki Kusuo was already afraid of it once. He could not guarantee that if he could dodge it the first time, he could dodge it the second time. Hitaki Kusuo kept looking at Frieza. He also did not know when Frieza would send out the second death beam net. After all, when Frieza wanted to send it out, his speed was very fast, if Kusuo Hitaki doesn't stay alert all the time. If he relaxes a little, when Frieza attacks, he won't be able to react and will be hit. Once hit, the consequences will be disastrous. Therefore, Kusuo Hitaki would rather stay alert all the time. He doesn't want to wait until he is hit and then regret it. The two sides have been confronting each other like this. Frieza didn't take the initiative to attack, and Kusuo Hitaki didn't take the initiative to attack either. He saw that Frieza didn't attack all the time, and Kusuo Hitaki was very curious. Why don't you attack? Frieza didn't say anything after hearing this. Kusuo Hitaki has seen that Frieza doesn't have that much follow-up power. The amount continued, so he said. If you don't take the initiative to attack, then I will attack you. Upon hearing this, Frieza raised his eyebrows. He looked at Kusuo Hitaki, still silent, but since Kusuo Hitaki said this, Frieza has become alert. He has been staring at Kusuo Hitaki, always on guard against Kusuo Hitaki's sneak attack. It seems that a new war is inevitable. Frieza is ready. But he thought, with his current physical condition, if Kusuo Hitaki launched an attack, could he really resist it? Even if he could resist for a while, how long could he resist? There was no answer in Frieza's heart. Chapter 549. At this time, Kusuo Hitaki had already made a plan in his mind, and he knew how to deal with Frieza. Thinking of this, Kusuo Hitaki snorted coldly. Before the fight, he didn't waste time talking to Frieza. He used the Earth Escape technique directly, and then, Kusuo Hitaki created a large Earth Escape technique. Frieza saw this. He didn't know what Kusuo Hitaki wanted to do. When he saw Kusuo Hitaki making some moves, Frieza was not idle either. He also used ninjutsu. But when Frieza attacked, all his tools were blocked by Kusuo Hataki's Earth Escape technique, and those attacks could not break through at all. Kusuo Hataki saw this, and he also shouted orders. Son Goku, Raditz, Piccolo, you attack Frieza from different 06 directions at the same time to attract his attention. When they heard it, Son Goku and the others were stunned. However, seeing Kusuo Hataki giving such an order, although they didn't know what Kusuo Hataki wanted to do, they did it. Son Goku and the others followed what Kusuo Hataki said. They attacked Frieza from 3 different directions, a bit like a triangle, attacking Frieza at once. Frieza looked at the 3 of them like this. He didn't know what Hataki Kusuo wanted to do, but the 3 of them had already attacked, and Frieza couldn't just sit there and wait for death, so he fought back. Hataki Kusuo had been watching the battle from the side. He saw that Frieza's attention had been completely attracted by the 3 of them, and he felt that this was a good opportunity. Hataki Kusuo took action. He came to the sky above Frieza, and then threw several attack ninjutsu in succession from above to attack Frieza, and he made a sneak attack. When the attack ninjutsu came, Frieza, who was fighting, suddenly noticed it, and looked up to see several attack ninjutsu rushing towards him. Seeing this, Frieza was anxious. He was dealing with 3 people, and he really had no time to deal with Hataki Kusuo's attack. So, Frieza couldn't do it. He could only use his tail to resist, and he successfully resisted those attacks, but Frieza was not much better. The battle was over, and everything was settled. Hataki Kusuo found that Frieza's tail was injured by his attack, and the wound was bleeding. Seeing this, Hataki Kusuo had no expression. He was very calm. Tisk, the attack only injured one part. His previous attacks were intended to cut off his entire tail. Hataki Kusuo just looked at Frieza quietly. He was very calm, but it didn't mean that Frieza was the same. Frieza was expressionless at the beginning, but after he looked at his tail, his expression slowly condensed. Frieza looked at Hataki Kusuo. He seemed to be slowly accumulating anger, and Frieza said with gritted teeth. Damn it, you dared to hurt my tail. Hearing this, Kusuo Hataki still didn't take it seriously, he said calmly. So what? At first, I was going to cut off your tail directly, but unfortunately, you resisted. If you hadn't resisted, then now it would not only be your tail that was injured, but the whole tail would be cut off. Hearing this, Frieza was completely enraged. He looked at Kusuo Hataki with a cold face, and he didn't say anything, but there was hatred in his eyes. It seems that this time, he was really angry. Kusuo Hataki also noticed it. Seeing Frieza so angry, he didn't understand. Chapter 550. At this time, Frieza snorted coldly and said to Kusuo Hataki. HMPH. This time, I want you to die. Hearing this, Kusuo Hataki didn't say anything. He just raised his eyebrows, looking very puzzled. Frieza has always wanted him to die, and Kusuo Hataki has known this for a long time. However, this time, it seems that it is because Kusuo Hataki hurt his tail. So, Frieza is like this. But Frieza should also know that what he wants is his life. He was so angry just because his tail was hurt. It seems that it is more serious than wanting his life. Kusuo Hataki doesn't understand it. Alas, I really don't know what people like him think. As Frieza said, he started to attack. He attacked directly, and once he attacked, it was very fierce, almost a bit crazy. Kusuo Hataki was surprised when he saw this. However, facing such a fierce attack from Frieza, he had no choice but to fight back and fight with Frieza. The battle between the two was very fierce. They attacked each other very quickly, so fast that Goku and Raditz couldn't see clearly. Goku and Raditz saw Frieza attacking Hataki Kusuo. They wanted to help. However, the speed of the two was too fast. It's almost time. At this rate, the two of them can't intervene at all. If they go over, they will be directly beaten by Frieza. So, they can only watch the battle from the side. Hataki Kusuo in the battle, he saw Frieza's attack was so fierce, he said curiously while fighting with Frieza. You are so fast, Frieza, it's just a tail injury, is it necessary to do this? After hearing this, Frieza said coldly with hatred. HMPH. I will make you pay for this. It seems that Frieza cherishes his tail very much. Kusuo Hatake can see it. Only when someone hurts something he cherishes very much, he will be so anxious, even more anxious than his own life. Kusuo Hatake didn't say much. Now, he can only fight with Frieza. Fortunately, the two have been tied so far. It seems that it will be another protracted war. Now facing a protracted war has become a habit for Kusuo Hatake. He is numb. It's like this every time. He doesn't know how long it will take to end this protracted war. To be honest, just this time, Kusuo Hatake already felt that he wasted too much time on Frieza. Frieza. They kept fighting him. They didn't know when they would stop this meaningless fight, but neither of them won or lost. Hatake Kusuo couldn't capture Frieza, and Frieza couldn't escape successfully. They kept wasting time like this. Because they wasted too much time on this matter, Hatake Kusuo was a little tired of it. He even wanted to let Frieza go as long as he could stay away from here. Because he was really tired of fighting like this. There was no result. But Hatake Kusuo thought so in his heart. Let him say it out loud, saying, Frieza, go ahead, I won't stop you. Kusuo Hatake couldn't bring himself to say this. He was still unwilling. He thought that he couldn't let Frieza go. If Frieza escaped by chance, he would have nothing to say. However, if Kusuo Hatake had to say it himself, he would never say it. The two of them kept fighting like this. Kusuo Hatake didn't know when the fight would end.